What's up, all you movie geeks out there? We're taking a trip back to Panem, but this time way back in the past, during the early days of the Hunger Games, with the brand new movie, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. In this movie, it tells the story of Coriolanus Snow. You blew it! His early beginnings and what made him turn into the tyrannical president that he came to be. Is this a worthy prequel to what was a beloved franchise? May the odds be ever in your favor, and keep watching as I tell you my thoughts and review right now. This review is brought to you by Surfshark. With internet privacy being such a huge deal these days, it's more important now than ever to protect yourself. With Surfshark VPN, you can easily hide your IP address and encrypt all data that you send and receive. You can easily switch regions to other countries in the world. This means not only your true IP address and identity is masked, it also means that you can get around any annoying geolocation locked video content. You can truly unlock the full potential of your streaming services, and for me that's important since I need to research or catch up on movies that may not always be available in my region. With Surfshark VPN, I can easily switch to any region like the UK, and this problem simply goes away. And now I can watch Hulu content directly on Disney Plus or check out some movies on Netflix that I can't otherwise watch here in the US. I also do a lot of banking and account management online, and by using Surfshark VPN, I feel extremely safe and secure doing so. Surfshark VPN also allows you to connect to unlimited devices simultaneously on a single account, and this includes Windows devices, Linux, Android, iOS, Amazon TV, and much more. To take advantage of the current Black Friday deals that they have, make sure to scan the QR code that you see on the screen now, or click on the link in the description below to secure yourself a great deal that gives you a subscription discount over 80% and up to 5 additional months for free. And if you think it sucks, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, which will give you plenty of time to try out Surfshark VPN risk-free. So regardless of what your thoughts were about the original Hunger Games franchise, it's pretty much safe to say that not only is this a franchise that pretty much put Jennifer Lawrence on the map and on the radar for a lot of moviegoers out there and just fans in general, but it also paved the way for a brand new genre of film that we will be seeing for the next couple years after this franchise debuted. Basically, that's the teen dystopian type of movie series, sci-fi and action adventure type of movies that are really geared more towards the teen audience. And in my opinion, out of all of them, Hunger Games was the one that really knew how to do it right. And the main thing about that was that it made you really fall in love with a lot of the characters involved. However, one of the most hated characters was Coriolanus Snow, the president of Panem at the time, and the one who was pretty much going toe-to-toe with Katniss Everdeen. So many years later, they decided to say, hey, what made Snow the person that he was? What are his early days look like? And that's like a common thing that we are seeing in Hollywood these days, going backwards in time and kind of ruining the mystique of these figures that we either love or hate. But mainly, especially when it comes to villains, there's an attempt to always try to humanize them and try to come up with an understanding of who they are and why they became who they eventually became when we were introduced to them in the first place. But I gotta tell you, as I was watching this movie, it kind of hit me as I was watching. I'm like, why do I give a shit about this guy? This guy sucks. And in the movie, yeah, they kind of have this like humble beginnings of his character. His character and his family were poor and they were up and coming. He happened to be very smart and bright with a potential future in the capital and all that stuff. But that's the point. He still lives in the capital and he still gets to mingle and live with all of the prestigious people in the capital while everyone else outside in the districts are all suffering. So for the most part, in the beginning of the movie, as we lead to the games itself, the narrative is trying to make you understand and like this person who is living in luxury. And to be quite honest with you, it just didn't work for me for the most part. And then of course, course, when the games happens, that's when things really pick up. And I thought that was like the most exciting part of the movie. And I thought it was really, really thrilling, especially to see like a more bare bones version of the games, since this was like way back in the day when things weren't as advanced. But once the games ended, we still had a good amount of third act to go. And at this point, I was really checked out. I was like, I really don't care where this story goes from here on out. And then eventually you get to see the turn of Snow from the person he was. And it was all because of love. Love ruined him. And there's that famous quote from the original movies. Something about like when the things that hurt you most are the things that love you or whatever. You know, I'll probably insert the clip here.
It's the things we love most that destroy us.
And he's speaking from experience because it happened to him. And it's probably one of the main reasons why he probably also hated Katniss eventually, because he was seeing a lot of that stuff being repeated right in front of his face. But even that turn seemed to happen kind of out of nowhere. And I don't know if it was actually earned or not. But yeah, needless to say, majority of the movie didn't work out for me, but the movie does have its moments. Let's start off with the things that worked for me. The look and aesthetics of Panem at that time was really well done. It was kind of nice to kind of be back in that world, which I actually did appreciate from the original films, but to see the early beginnings of it all. I believe this takes place like 10 years after the revolution and, you know, the whole uprising of the districts against the capital. So things are still pretty raw and in the rebuilding phase, and you see all of that. You know, even the capital itself is not fully rebuilt yet. But I like stories that kind of take you there, kind of like in the early beginnings of the things that we are eventually are aware of later on. The games itself felt very raw. It was the first time that they were hosted, and they're at the point where viewership is very low. So it kind of feels like real life network television, and they're trying to get people to watch it. So basically they're doing what the news does now, and they try to like glorify a lot of the bad stuff because it gets ratings. So they have a host and they have people like in the studio watching as the games turn out. It was actually Snow that came up with a lot of the ideas to like kind of add more intrigue to the games, like the gift giving and the sponsorships and all that stuff like that. So it made it exciting, and it was nice to see how all of that kind of unveiled. There's this funny running bit about drones and how the early iterations of the drones that deliver the gifts that I thought was actually kind of funny. If you watch it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's just say that they have some kinks to work out. So all that was kind of cool. And there were two main characters and actors that really kept me in this movie. One is Jason Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman plays Lucretius Lucky Flickerman, who was the first television host of the actual Hunger Games and is the ancestor to Caesar Flickerman, who we are more familiar with in the original movies played by the great Stanley Tucci. I can watch this guy all day. He was so funny, and he does a lot of these jokes, these one-liners that really go under the radar. If you're not paying attention, you could easily miss them as part of just regular commentary, but a lot of those lines made me laugh a lot. And then there's Viola Davis, who plays Dr. Volumnia Gaul. She's the mad scientist, creator person that I never knew I needed. Her over-the-top acting and really like kind of devilish demeanor was so well. I mean, this is Viola Davis we're talking about. Are we expecting any less? She really provided like that real true menacing presence in the film, and a real wackiness too that I really learned to appreciate. Speaking of overacting, let's address the elephant in the room here. Rachel Zegler, who plays Lucy Gray Baird. Now, I've never read the books, but I assume and I take it that she is a very important character in the lore of the Hunger Games. And this is not going to be a knock on Rachel Zegler herself, but I was getting real major theater kid vibes from her performance here. A lot of it was really over the top and over exaggerated. She was utilizing this accent, like kind of like a Southern accent, that was just a little bit too much. Like, it felt forced at times. It was kind of hard to believe that this was truly her character. And the character herself was kind of portrayed as being a little bit nutty or loony in a way, or that's just the way Rachel played her. But there was nothing about this character I liked, to be very honest with you. Everything with her felt very rushed, very scripted. I didn't believe the little chemistry she had with Snow, and the singing. Oh my gosh, there was too much singing. I don't know if this was a major point or emphasis made in the book, but every chance she got, she would sing and sing and sing to the point where she looks like she's about to die and yet she's singing a song. I mean, come on. And it's so weird because I thought Rachel was great in West Side Story. Her small role that she had in Shazam, I thought she did really well, and I was actually looking forward to seeing more of her. So I don't know if this is really truly her coming out more, or if this was really a direction from the director himself. Speaking of director, this was Francis Lawrence who directed this film, and he's the one that pretty much directed the last 3 Hunger Games movies. And to be quite honest with you, after the first Hunger Games, I felt like the franchise started going down and down and down with each movie that we got. The 2 Mockingjays were just painful to watch, and I know because I just watched them again recently to prepare myself for this movie. There's just a lot of talking and a lot of Zoom meetings and speeches and speeches. So at least here we got a decent amount of action and all that, but at the end of the day, I did not feel anything for a lot of these characters. Tom Blythe was cool playing the younger version of Snow, but there were certain choices in his character that I really questioned a lot. And I thought a lot of it was just rushed because of time constraints. And that twist that he made, the turn that he made at the end that kind of solidified him as the villain, just was not earned in my opinion. This movie also did one thing that I really cringe at every time a sequel or a prequel does something, and it's the attempt to try to tie something back to the original franchise or the original set of movies that kind of remind us, oh, this reminds me of that, or oh, that's a nice little callback. There's little tidbits about the rose and how he loves the roses. But the one that really got me, that really truly got me, was kind of an explanation of Katniss and the origin of the name or the term Katniss. Even when it was done, you kind of see Snow's face do like a, you know, kind of like a future me will appreciate this little tidbit. Like, come on, let's stop. And again, going back to the whole Lucy Gray thing, look, we know that she is responsible for a really touching song that Jennifer Lawrence sang in the original movies. You know, the whole tree song, you know, Meet Me by the Tree or The Man in the Tree. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Are you coming to the tree?
So I was expecting that the revelation of Lucy coming up with that song was going to be a big moment in this movie because that meant a lot in the original movies. But it was just like a flash in the pan moment. It was one of those things where they cut to her already singing it and strumming along and all that, but nothing about the origins, nothing about why she came up with it, nothing about the meaning of it from her point of view and the lyrics and everything. And then moments in the movies, they would just replay that song as if it was a big thing. But watching it, and if it's someone that never watched any of the original Hunger Games movies, I would not understand why this would be a major thing. I would just treat it as another one of the other numerous songs that she sang throughout the movie, and that, to be quite honest with you, I could care less about. But I think the one thing that was truly missing that they failed to do, because I really do feel like they were trying to make us really attached to Snow, which again doesn't really work because we know the person he becomes later on. So why do I care about this bad guy? And Lucy was just very poorly mishandled. I think we just missed her. We missed the Katniss. There wasn't that main character that we could root for, that we could go behind, that could give us any kind of hope whatsoever, even though we eventually know how things are going to pan out. I think the things that really, really hurt the movie for me was, one, lack of true character building or important character building to the point where I really cared a lot about these people that I'm watching on screen. Two, the chemistry between the 2 main characters of Snow and Lucy just felt fake. It felt forced. It felt convenient. I didn't really feel like the major impact in all of that. The Lucy character herself was a little bit exaggerated and over the top. And again, I don't know if that's Rachel's fault or the directing fault. Snow was just kind of like, okay, this interesting, weird, eccentric kind of dude in a way, almost like a Willy Wonka thing, who could have been good, but then has kind of maniacal senses just because of convenience or to get a leg up on something or whatever the case is. And I just felt the full turn of him being bad just was not earned at all. But the best part of the movie was the middle, when the games was happening. That was the most exciting part for me, even though again I didn't really care much a lot about these characters from all the districts, which I don't think they did a good job, unlike the original movie, where even though we weren't introduced individually to each of them, there was something about some of the characters that we saw or that they focused on that made us latch onto them just enough to have us care, especially when they eventually met their demise. So yeah, I didn't hate this movie, but I'm pretty sure if we were to talk about it a week from now, I'd be like, oh, I just stopped thinking about it, and I would totally have forgotten about it. Because of all that, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, but then again, you know, I think my ties to the original franchise kind of started dwindling as each of the movies came out. And I realized that once I rewatched them again. But like I always say, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter at all what I think. What matters most is what all of you think out there. What did you think of The Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes? Did you enjoy it? Did you appreciate it? Is it something you'd recommend? Or if you haven't seen it yet, what are your thoughts on it now? Would love to hear all your thoughts, opinions, and all that stuff in the comments below, so make sure to leave a comment for sure. And as always, if you enjoyed this and you want to show some appreciation, all you gotta do is hit that like button. Doesn't cost you a thing. Helps out with the algorithm, helps spread this type of content to like-minded folks like you and I, and it helps, you know, grow this channel and grow this community so we can have more conversations like this. And if you want to go the extra mile and you want to stay up to date with everything that we do here on the channel, best way to do that is make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time a new video is posted. Until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Catch you all in the next one. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.